What's up everybody, it's Dan the Bugman here. I'm going to be ranking the top 5 worst pests of all time. Every pest that I come in contact with, and there's a lot of stiff competition: wasps, mice and rats, cockroaches, there's termites, brown recluse, spiders. There's all kinds of crazy pests that affect people's lives on a daily basis, and I am going to be breaking down which one is the worst. It's always something that I've thought of. What pest really is the worst? You know, when I'm spraying this house, like, oh yeah, ants are pretty bad, but then I go to the next house and they got spiders and they got cockroaches, and then I go do a termite treatment and then bed bugs and then this and then that, and there's just so many pests. But when you start to break it down, there's a few contenders that really start to put themselves ahead of the others, and I have ranked them using 3 different metrics on a 100-point scale. It's gonna start from the bottom and work its way up to the top. For this video, I actually ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pests. First, I'm going to tell you how I ranked these pests. I used 3 different factors here. The first and most important factor I used was the peskiness factor. How much of a bother is this pest to someone once they have become infected with it? So is it just a minor inconvenience, or is this pest literally just ruining your life? I gave that one a 50-point scale. The next factor is difficulty to treat. Once this pest infests itself in your home, how difficult is it to get rid of? Is it as simple as just sweeping it out the door, or do you have to use some machine guns and heavy artillery to get rid of this thing? I gave that one a 30-point scale. And finally, the commonality factor. How common is this pest? Is this something that you may get every week, or is this a pest that only comes around once in a lifetime? I gave that one a 20-point scale. I'm going to go ahead and give you the 10th, 9th, and 8th place finishers in this list were hornets and wasps, then fleas, and then ticks. Those pests all scored around 50 points. Now, there were 2 pests that I'm going to give an honorable mention. They're pretty good pests. Those 2 pests were brown recluse spiders and mice and rats. Brown recluse spiders scored 59 points, and then the rats and mice scored 63 points. Those are both pretty important pests. Like, to be pests ranked 6th and 7th all time, you know, that's no joke, and congrats to those pests. I know they worked hard to get that ranking. We are about to dive into the top 5 worst pests of all time. Buckle your seatbelt and get ready. These pests are no joke. Coming in at number 5, we have ants. Now, most commonly, these are odorous house ants in my area, but this is just really any species of ant. In my breakdown here, ants scored 66 points. These pests, I gave a 6 out of 10 peskiness factor, which totaled to 30 points. They are pretty darn annoying when they get in your kitchen. And the thing about ants is they are absolutely relentless. There are thousands and thousands of ants in an ant colony, and they will continue pounding and pounding away at your kitchen until you can eliminate the colony. So for that reason, I gave them like a 6 out of 10 peskiness. Like, yeah, they are annoying, but there are definitely more annoying pests than ants. The difficulty to treat was also a 6 out of 10. If you know what you're doing, ants are really not that hard to get rid of. They're pretty difficult. You might have to do it a couple times, but we're just gonna give that a 6 out of 10. And then finally, the commonality. This was actually tied for the most common pest at a 9 out of 10. Now, when we talk about commonality of pests, ants, there's no beating them. In just an average house, you're gonna get ants at least once a year, if not 2 or 3 times a year. That commonality factor, that bumped the ants into the top 5, with 30 points coming from their peskiness, 18 points coming from their difficulty to treat, and 18 again points coming from their commonality. That gave ants a very strong score of 66. Coming in at number 4, we have the mosquito. This is similar to the ants. It's not one species of mosquito. They all behave very similarly. Mosquitoes scored whopping 75 points in the peskiness factor. They got a very, very strong 8 out of 10. Mosquitoes, they will literally heat seek and bite and attack. And I don't know about you guys, but I really, really enjoy being outside, and nothing more can ruin it by getting absolutely devoured by mosquitoes. So that is why I gave them an 8 out of 10. Next, their difficulty to treat, I gave a 7 out of 10 for a total of 21 points in that category. You can control mosquitoes pretty well. You can do sprays that really reduce the population in that area, but it is almost impossible to completely eliminate mosquitoes down to 0%. So finally, the commonality factor is actually along the same lines. I gave it a 7 out of 10 for 14 points in that category. They are extremely common in my area, but some parts of the country they are not as common, and also they are not common at all in the wintertime. Whenever they are here in the summer, they're gonna hit you hard. Mosquitoes are actually responsible for the most deaths worldwide. The blood that they carry in their bodies when they're feeding, they actually end up mixing it with the blood of other people and transfer diseases. That is why they end up being the most deadly animal in the world. That is why they're number 4 on the list. The top 3, coming in third place and the worst pest of all time list, is the bedbug. This bedbug had extremely high scores in almost every category. For a final score, 82 out of 100. The majority of the points came in the first 2 sections. So the peskiness, I considered that a 10 out of 10 peskiness. There is nothing I can imagine more traumatizing, more pesky, more just annoying than having little tiny bugs trying to bite you while you are sleeping. They literally just wait for you to sleep and rest in whatever areas they have infested and come out, literally bite your skin and eat your blood as their energy. And I cannot think of anything worse a bug could possibly do that could be more pesky. That was the only 10 out of 10 peskiness bug in this category, and they absolutely meet the criteria for being a perfect 10 out of 10 peskiness, which gives them 50 points in the peskiness factor. In the difficulty to treat factor, the bedbugs actually had another perfect score, a 10 out of 10. In my opinion, bedbugs are by far the most difficult pest to completely get rid of. If they infest a structure and if they're not eliminated within the first couple of weeks, you need some major treatment options and diligent work to be able to exterminate bedbugs from a structure. Trying to get rid of bedbugs is extremely difficult, and I cannot emphasize that enough. And they are so difficult to get rid of because they can live 6 months without eating a single drop of food, which is blood. Can you imagine trying to kill something that doesn't need to eat or drink? They can just sit there and be completely fine, which is absolutely mind-boggling. So that is why bedbugs got a 10 out of 10 on difficulty to treat for a total of 30 points. Commonality section, that is where bedbugs did not get to achieve the top ranking pest because they are really not that common. I only gave bedbugs a 1 out of 10 commonality. There is a very good chance that you will live your whole life never experiencing bedbugs as a pest. That gave them a total of 82 points. If you don't consider the commonality of bedbugs, they are the worst pest of all time. But they are just not that common. So bedbugs, they are third all time. Before we get into the top 2, guys, the first like 3 times I scored these 2 pests, they tied, and I adjusted it and they tied again, and I adjusted it again and they tied again. And I was like, I cannot make a video where there is just a tie for first place. I can't do it, and I won't do that to you guys. It's selfish and I'm not gonna do it. And I finally figured it out. Before I tell you the top 2, please comment below which pest you think I am thinking of right now. As a pest control professional, it's super obvious which 2 are left, but to the common person just watching this video, I am curious if you guys have nailed what the top 2 pests are, or if you're still like, oh, I wonder which one's coming next. These are the top 2 stars of the show. These pests suck. They're everywhere. They're just wreaking havoc all the time. The second worst pest of all time. Number 2 is the German cockroach. I have so much to say about these species. They were so close to being the worst of all time. They were just edged out, just barely. And it was so sad to see because part of me loves cockroaches and they're my favorite pest to kill. The peskiness scale, out of 10 points, they got a 9 out of 10 for a total of 45 points. You have German cockroaches in your kitchen, that is extremely pesky. They just get everywhere. They're the nastiest pests to have around food because they get around your food and they get around your plates, dishwasher, and your refrigerator. And you see when you're like, oh man, like I can't believe I just saw a cockroach. There's something very biological about being disgusted by cockroaches that's in human nature. Their difficulty to treat. They also got a 9 out of 10. The reason they're so difficult to treat is really the reason that they're there in the first place, and that's usually because there are food sources and shelter sources for these roaches, and once they get going, they reproduce absolute insane. They just keep on going and going, and if you're not on top of it, there's gonna be 300, 400, 500 cockroaches in your kitchen in a matter of weeks, and there's nothing you can do about it. You gotta spray multiple times, you gotta pull the refrigerator out, you gotta pull the stove out, spray everything, and you just gotta make sure everything is clean. That is why cockroaches got a 9 out of 10 on the difficulty to treat factor. Here's the downfall of cockroaches. If you live averagely clean, you're not going to get cockroaches. I gave them a 6.5 in the commonality factor. If you're in like a single family home, and you keep everything clean and tidy in the kitchen and the bathrooms, and you just do an average job of cleaning, you will never see like a true infestation of cockroaches. Now that I think about it, they are pretty common because people are pretty dirty too. So, I mean, there's a lot of dirty people. Cockroaches are inevitably going to be a little more common because people are just dirty. Cockroaches had a very, very impressive 85 points, which ranked them number 2. Number 1 pest of all time is the subterranean termites. The peskiness was another 9 out of 10. And the reason that they are so pesky, I factored in their ability to absolutely destroy a wooden structure into this peskiness category. A person that has termites doesn't know they're there for many years. If you just let them eat away, your house is just gonna fall over. That is why termites are extremely, extremely pesky. Next, their difficulty to treat. This was actually a little lower than you might expect. A 7.5 out of 10. Termites are difficult to treat. Please don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people that try to do it yourself with termite treatments and end up paying the cost in the long run. But that is only thanks to human technology and these products been able to produce and formulate that have these incredibly small compounds that allow the termites to pick up this chemical on their skin and then, without dying, transfer it to other termites in the colony. After a delayed reaction, ends up wiping out the entire colony of termites. A 7.5 out of 10 is what I gave termites in difficulty to treat. The commonality for termites, I gave a 9 out of 10. What customers always ask me is, hey, Dan the Bugman, like, are termites really an issue around here? Like, I ain't never had them. And what I always tell them is, it's not a matter of if you are going to get termites or not. It is a matter of when you will get termites. You could build a house in a field. You could only go a couple weeks before the termites find the wood and start feeding on it. Or you could get lucky and you could go a couple years without termites finding it. But they will find it. They are foraging insects and they are always meandering and randomly wandering around. Inevitably, they will find wood to feed on. They are always looking for new food sources. A 9 out of 10 I thought was very appropriate. Termites and ants both scored 9 out of 10s, and that's just because they forage for food and they just randomly wander around and they will inevitably find your house, which gives termites a total of 85.5 points to barely, by the slimmest of margins, edge out German cockroaches for the number 1 pest of all time. I'll put my rankings up on the screen if you guys want to look at them. Let me know if you guys have an issue with that list. I'm definitely open to hearing your thoughts, and I'm willing to adjust around some numbers a little bit if you guys really convince me. I really think this list is right, even if a couple numbers could be adjusted here and there. Besides the top 2, they weren't really that close. There were good gaps, you know, between each pest, which I was happy about. The bed bugs and the cockroaches and the termites, man, they're all right there, and they're all just the worst pests, but I had to rank them, and that's why I did this video. If you disagree with me, let me know, but man, those top 3, I spent a lot of time. I really hope you guys are happy with this ranking, and I'm very happy that you joined along with me to go over these top 5 pests of all time, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please smash the like button if you did enjoy it. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.